When I matched with my surrogate within only 2 weeks, unlike many who waited 1 to 2 years just to match, I thought my journey would be very quick and smooth. I thought I could start the embryo transfer in the next month or 2. Guess what? It didn't work that way. It took us 9 months just to get to our successful transfer. Stay with me to hear how you can prepare better and make the journey smoother. Hi, my name is Cindy. I started a family 3 years ago without a partner using donor sperm and IVF. I carried my first child and turned to surrogacy for my second. Today, I will walk you through my surrogacy timeline from match all the way to childbirth. For those of you who didn't know, I found and matched with my surrogate on my own. In fact, I found 2 without help from any agency. And my indie journey saved me $50,000. I created 2 videos about how I did it. I have also included them in the links below. So, if you are going independent, this timeline and checklist will be very helpful because this is something that I wish someone had provided to me to help me better prepare. Even if you go through an agency, this timeline can still be a resource to keep you informed about what to expect. There are 4 parts of the timeline that I will cover today. The first part is the match timeline with my first surrogate. I matched within 2 weeks. The second part would be match timeline with my second surrogate. This is another data point for you. I also did it within 2 weeks. The third part, my timeline from being matched to being pregnant. The fourth part, my timeline from pregnancy confirmed to childbirth. However, having a timeline is just a half of the puzzle. To complete the other half, I will show you what is needed at what time in the 5 major areas of psychological evaluation, medical procedures, legal agreements, escrow, and sorrow insurance. On this screen, you will see how I navigated through the weeks of matching for surrogacy. Week 0 is about preparing before I even posted my ad to find a surrogate. Week 1 is where the real action begins after I posted my ad. In week 0, I did some serious groundwork. I researched local resources and I networked to discover opportunities. I also scouted online groups where I could later post my ad. Those include the match groups and the local groups I found. I also drafted my personal story and introduction for when I was ready to make my move. In week 1, I took the plunge and posted my ad in those carefully researched groups. I also started looking for ads posted by potential surrogates. Believe it or not, within just a couple of days, I found a local surrogate and reached out to her via Messenger. We set up our first video chat where we got to know each other better. I also sent her the clinic's requirements the same day. Things moved very quickly between us. At the beginning of week 2, we already met in person. I let the surrogate decide where to meet, and my family met her family at the local zoo. On that same day, I sent her the compensation details for review. My goal is to give her plenty of time to do research on her end and discuss with her partner. Fast forward to week 3, I kickstarted the initial clinic consultation, but unfortunately, due to her personal situation, my engagement with her had to pause. I really liked this surrogate. She was responsive, caring, responsible. I was worried if I would ever find someone as great again. But let me assure you, it is possible. Now, let me give you another data point, the timeline for finding my second surrogate. After ending the first match, I decided to up my game. I did even more research. Back then, I was traveling for work every once in a while, so I added my workplace as a local hub. I started to search for relevant groups near that hub and repeated the process. With my second surrogate, things sped up even more. I posted my ad in the groups that I have found earlier. I got lots of responses via Messenger and began asking questions. I sent them the clinic's requirements and eventually narrowed down to just one candidate. We had our first video chat, exchanged thorough introductions. and I sent her the compensation details. Things moved very fast. By the start of week 2, the surrogate committed to the journey. And just a week later, I visited her at her home and met her partner and kids. As you can see, this timeline was really short. From the first surrogate to the second, there wasn't much wait time. I realized how lucky I was, and I hope this example gives you hope if you have doubts about starting this journey. Now let's shift gears to the timeline from matching to pregnancy. Here, T stands for the successful embryo transfer, and M represents the month. I've divided the timeline into 5 swim lanes: psychological evaluation, medical, legal, escrow, and Sarah insurance. This layout shows what needs to be done in each area and when, but remember, everyone's journey is unique, so use this as your reference only. Of the 5 swim lanes, a general rule of thumb is to save the most costly tasks for later to avoid paying some costs unnecessarily. In our case, the surrogate quickly obtained her medical records. However, her OB was out of town, delaying her clearance by a month. During this time, we also researched Sarah insurance. It's a fairly complex and critical part of your journey. Make sure to educate yourself and research and consult insurance experts. This month is the precursor to legal agreements, so most swim lanes need their requirements done. We did our psychological evaluation, FDA testing, I researched escrow options and insurance plans. Many of these aspects will be mentioned in the legal agreements, so it's crucial to get them done beforehand. Here we got a little surprise. Our FDA testing revealed a need for hepatitis B vaccine series, adding 2 months to our timeline. We used this time to draft our legal agreement. Now the timeline shifts to 4 months before transfer. By the time we finished the vaccine series, we also completed signing and notarizing our legal agreement. This month was when things got more excited. Our first transfer cycle began. I set up my escrow account at this time because this can only be done after having an effective legal agreement. Then my surrogate also informed me about her new job, which impacted our insurance options. Here, our first cycle unfortunately had to be canceled due to lining issues, adding another month to the timeline. We started our second cycle shortly after. I continued to work closely with my surrogate to choose the right insurance plan. Unfortunately, we ran into some more issues with our second cycle, causing us to cancel again and pushed out the timeline for another month. We started the third cycle right after this. Now let's shift gears to the timeline from the transfer to childbirth. After 2 canceled cycles, our third cycle was successful! Yay! 2 weeks later, the pregnancy was confirmed. Yay! Again! During the pregnancy, the only task specific to surrogacy was the parentage establishment in the 2nd trimester, handled by the attorney. Otherwise, there was not much difference for a pregnancy resulting from surrogacy. At this point, the heavy lifting of surrogacy was behind us. Now it's all about the excitement of welcoming the baby into the world. In my next video, I will break down the total costs incurred throughout the surrogacy. Make sure to check them out. Be sure to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any latest videos.